All right, it is time for some TV musings. It's been a while, and what I've been watching. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. I haven't done a TV video in a while, so it definitely felt like it was time, and when I looked back on what I've been watching recently, I actually finished a whole bunch of stuff, so I wanted to talk about it. So here are 5 different shows that I have finished recently. Either I have completed their entire run or have gotten caught up to date with things. And it's a little bit of everything. Some historical, some heist, performing arts, political drama, a little bit of everything. If you want to jump around, I will leave jump links down below, as well as on the progress bar. I will do a table of contents if you want to jump to the different sections. Otherwise, you can watch straight through and be surprised each and every time what show I will talk about next. First up is a historical mystery set in Victorian London, and that is Miss Scarlet and the Duke. This is one that I talked about in my January new TV series video that I did earlier this year, and it's one that I actually got the premise a little bit wrong. So this is a historical mystery series, and it features a character, Miss Scarlet, who wants to take over her dad's detective agency. In the video, I initially thought that she needed some, like a guy to sign off on this or something, but that's not what happens in the show. And I actually don't quite understand why it's called Miss Scarlet and the Duke, because the guy in it is someone, he's a police officer, but I don't think he's a Duke, and I don't think his name is Duke, so I'm a little confused about that. But he's definitely the other person, but I don't ever remember him being referred to as a Duke. So if you watch the show and you understand the answer, you have the answer to that mystery, let me know. I did really enjoy the show. I love the setting in terms of the costuming is phenomenal. The sets are amazing. The settings are amazing. Outside, horse-drawn carriages, just, you know, also because it's a mystery, there's gruesome locations and gruesome stuff. This is not, I don't know where, like, this, well, I don't know. I'm not the best to comment on, when I say this is disturbing, it's on PBS, so, but that being said, there's some dark shows that are on PBS, so it definitely, like, it doesn't glorify anything, but it also doesn't shy away with some of the more challenging elements of it, and I think that's a bit of a theme, because she definitely faces a lot of challenge being a woman who wants to be a detective. She is faced with adversity all the time, including from the guy in the show who is an old-time family friend. So that's how they know each other. He was, I find it a little hard to figure out if he was friends with her father, or which would mean he's a fair amount older than her, but I don't think they're that much of an age gap, but maybe I'm wrong there. So, because there are also hints, leanings to, is this relationship going to go in a romantic direction or not, which a lot of, you know, procedural, investigative type shows do take that turn. For me, I'm not really watching it for that. They have great banter, and I enjoy them as characters individually, so whether it goes that way or doesn't go that way, I'm not super invested one way or the other, because I just like both of them as they are, and there's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, but so the show is, I really enjoyed it. I don't watch a lot of mysteries or procedurals, but this does have a bit of a long arc as well, which was nice. I enjoy that. For me, that's the best combination, is to have a sort of story a week as well as a long arc. That's sort of the sweet spot. And so it did land there. I will say that I found sometimes in the middle of the series, it felt a little samesies in terms of, like, she would sort of, like, get into trouble, or someone would report in on her, or he would arrest her, and then she'd help him, and then he'd get her out of trouble, and so there was sort of this back and forth that happened a fair amount. But I did feel like overall, it wasn't the only thing that happened. There was progression in other ways, individually and together, so that was nice. I did, I'm not, as I said, I don't watch tons of mysteries, so I wasn't super always invested in the individual mysteries, but I did enjoy them as stories. I also enjoyed a lot of the supporting cast, and they do often deal with a theme of inequality especially for her, but in multiple levels. There's one thing I am a little concerned about, but to talk about it just would be a spoiler, so I'm not going to go there. But there's one thing that I'm just concerned a little bit about, like going in this direction, or they're putting one character in one direction. So I'm not sure, and I don't think it wasn't resolved by the end of the season. So I'm like going, not sure about that. So that was my only concern. Other than that, I really did enjoy the show, and it was a great watch. Also on PBS on Sunday nights, I had a double bill of historical shows, this one and another one. The other one is set in 1930s, and it follows vets, and it is All Creatures Great and Small. I did not expect to love this show as much as I did, but I wholeheartedly loved it. I looked forward to it. I was in it. And like I missed the first episode. It started a week earlier than Miss Scarlet for some reason. So I missed the first episode. So I didn't have a lot of context going in, and I still don't know some of the connecting pieces with some of the stories. But this is actually based on memoirs of a vet. And it also had I knew of the other show, also called All Creatures Great and Small, which was from the 70s, I believe. So this follows a Scottish vet who goes to work for a family. There's sort of two brothers, and there's the eldest brother who is an established vet, and a younger brother who is training to be a vet. And then we have our protagonist, James Herriot, who comes in and is also a vet. So it's set in a sort of smallish, I don't know what the right term is. It's sort of, well, there's lots of animals and farms and stuff like that. So it's rural, but there's also city-ish, not city. I don't know if it goes as far as city. This is not my, like, I don't have a lot of knowledge about this stuff, but like there's lots of, there's markets and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm just going to stop because I don't know how to describe that. So anyway, I just love this. It was so sweet and cozy, and I love the characters. I love the relationships. I love the sort of gentle pace of things, but there also were challenging situations. You're dealing with vets, so, they're dealing with animals that need help. So animals are, they're not in the best of times, during the show. So that's of course a challenge, but also if you love animals, I think you would probably love the show. Also, this is actually based on memoirs, and the first in the memoir is actually called If Only They Could Talk. But I think, and I definitely want to read them, but I definitely think I am going to start with All Creatures Great and Small, which I think is the second memoir, because on Scribd, they have an audiobook that is narrated by the actor from the show who plays James Herriot. And he's just so lovely. He's so lovely. I just love the show so much. And there's lots of sort of like shenanigans, like the younger brother is a bit of a cat, and he's a little bit more interested in going to the pub than his studies, and the older brother is a bit of a, like, he had to take the reins of the family quite young, so he's a bit of a hard case, kind of situation. And I don't know the story, like all of their stories very well, because I missed the first episode. So, but I considered buying it, but then I'm like, if I buy it and watch it, I'm going to want to watch the whole thing. And I think on Google Play, they're only an individual episode. So maybe I'll just try and keep an eye out to see if they re-air it at some point. This one also has been renewed, so I'm very excited about that. I don't know how closely the book is, or the season is, or the series, because it's British, so it's a series, is to one or particular of the books, because the book series is a series of memoirs, so there's several. So I don't know if it matches up to All Creatures Great and Small, or if it goes to the beginning with If Only They Can Talk. I'm not sure. So I am definitely planning on reading All Creatures Great and Small, and if I enjoy that, I'll probably go back to the first one. I think memoirs, it's a bit like fine to read them out of order. Like, it's stories of it's a memoir by a vet. I'm like, I just have to read it. I'm in the middle of 2 memoirs right now, one of which is also about animals. So I'm like, I have to finish that first. It's pretty short, so I will get there. Okay, so now we are going to contemporary, current day France, but actually mystery novels that were written quite some time ago. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they might be public domain. Maybe not sure about that. But it's a bit of a heist series, and that is Lupin. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this started on Netflix either at the very, very end of last year or early this year. And it's only so far 5 episodes. It has been renewed. I don't know. It has a second part coming in summer 2021, and I thought this was great. I didn't know anything about it coming in at all, and it is really great. So it is based on the book Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Burglar. That's the first in the series, and these are by Maurice LeBlanc. Yeah, Maurice LeBlanc. I don't want to say too much about it because I didn't know anything going in, and I absolutely loved it. Omar Sy as Lupin is so good. Like, it's just, honestly, I don't like doing this, but I don't want to really say anything about it because I enjoyed it so much. One thing I will say about it is I can't decide whether or not I want to read the books or if I want to wait till watching more of them. There are lots of very, very specific references to the books throughout the entire season so far, or 5 episodes that they've released so far. So they'll refer to passages, moments, locations. So in that sense, someone who always likes to read before, I was kind of like, oh my gosh. But in the case actually of book to TV adaptations, I like to watch first and read after. So I think I will wait and watch the second part and then go back and potentially read the books. Also, mysteries are not my strong suit. So I don't know, maybe it would be helpful to already know some of the stories or some of the references. One thing with this one though is I don't think it's a direct adaptation. I think it's more in the vein of The Haunting of Hill House, where it uses the source material as inspiration and then crafts a new story, but has lots of references to the original work. I think it's more in those veins. If anyone has watched both of them, I would love to know if you feel the same way or if you feel I'm way off on that. But this is great. Highly recommend it. The only thing I would say is because it's only 5 episodes and we are getting more, it might be smart to wait and watch it when you can go right to the second part, because I'm just like, I want to know more. So that's the only thing that I would say, and it's supposed to be coming out in summer 2021. So very excited about that. Okay, so our next show was one that I talked about in some of my favorites of last year of shows that I had started but not finished. And I think at that point I had only seen like 1 or maybe 3 episodes. And it's a Danish political drama, and that is Borgen. It is a 3-season series, political drama, very much like all the political parties and the states minister, as they say, or prime minister, it also follows the national TV agents channel, which covers the political, it covers what the news covers, but so you get the perspective of people in political parties, and then, what is Casper? What do they always call him? Spin doctor, so the publicist type situation, and then also the news coverage. So it's multi-layered in terms of the points of view on that, although it primarily focuses on the political drama element of it, like the being in politics, someone in politics. I really enjoyed this show. I picked it on like a bit of a chance. I have been very, very I've been working on learning Danish through Duolingo, and I think I hit 400 days. I know I hit 365, and then I haven't been very attentive to it recently, but I'm shifting some of my goals on that. So I haven't come up with my new goals, but I realized I was just sort of kept on playing so I didn't miss a day, and I'm like, but what do I want to achieve here? Anyway, but I'm missing watching a Danish show. But thankfully, actually, 2 of the actors from this, Casper, the guy who plays Casper as well as the guy who plays Torben, are both on a new show called The Investigation, which is on HBO. But I haven't watched that yet. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, back to Borgen. So this is a political drama. I really enjoyed it. And afterwards, I didn't look it up while I was watching it because I didn't want to be influenced by it because I didn't want to get any spoilers. And so I didn't know if it was like actual, like formed on like the actual political parties or actual events and stuff like that. And I think it was inspired by, but like the name of the political parties are different, but they are quite direct. Like one was called in the show, one was called the Green Party, one was called like the Far Right Party. So it was very clear what some of them were, and then some of them it was completely unclear as someone who doesn't know. So it was so cool. Like it also has a female protagonist. So seeing a political drama with a female protagonist was just awesome. Like it really was so awesome. And it showed some of the challenges with that, but it also wasn't always the focus, which was nice. And so there are episodes that are more about like issues, like more issue driven, more politics driven, and then there's a lot of interpersonal relationship stuff, and there's long arc stuff, and there's like episode of the week stuff. So for me, it just, again, that sort of like have each episode be its own story, as well as progressing a longer plot, sweet spot for me, and this one definitely did that. I will say that I felt like there was a bit of a jump between season 2 and season 3. There was a bit of a time jump there, and I felt a little like, whoa, and I don't know if there was a time jump in filming, but I felt like I had missed something, so that was a bit challenging, but I also appreciated that the story went in a different direction, although I will admit I was a little confused on things, and I didn't want to look anything up because I hate spoilers, so I just sort of was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch and see what happens. It was wonderful to hear so much Danish. I miss it already, like from that perspective. I just really enjoyed like hearing the language and trying to figure out words and seeing the differences of when I could understand things it was usually when like someone was talking to children or, giving a speech, something that less conversational and more like, direct. And so that was interesting as well. It was always exciting if I like knew a word or saw a new word or saw a new usage and all that good stuff. And then sometimes it would just be so fast. I'm like, oh, I can barely read the subtitles. It was so fast. So that was all a real joy and super surprising, even though this actually completed up a couple of years ago, there actually is going to be a 4th season, which has been slated for being released in 2022. So that is really, really exciting. I didn't expect to see more, especially because I think this started in like 2013 and then finished, I'm not sure, maybe 2018 or something like that. I don't know. So anyway, I watched this on Netflix and all 3 seasons were available on Netflix. I definitely recommend checking it out. I really enjoyed it. I was really invested in the characters, and I thought they dealt with a lot of really interesting and challenging political issues. And often talked about like the appearance of things and when do you need to, or if it's worth settling on one issue to progress on another issue, and tough decisions and all of that with a female lead. It was just like win, win, win. So let me know. I don't know anyone else who has seen this, and so I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have. And I was totally floored when I saw that there was a 4th season. Like that was awesome, so awesome. Okay, so next up, and apparently it got spieled by Stephen King. Top flight drama, Stephen King, on his top TV shows of 2012. So the first season was a fair amount of time. You see them, so it's such a different vibe that versus that. Although some of the people have the same. Casper's got the same pose. Okay, last one. Okay, so the last one is a 6-season show. This is the only one I finished to completion. It took me forever to get to completion on this. This one is performing arts based. It's all about country music, and that is Nashville. So, Nashville, I could do a whole video on Nashville, but I'm actually not going to say too many thoughts on this because, as I said, these are going to be spoiler free. So I started the show in season 2. That's when I jumped in, and then I watched to season 4, and at some point got to season 1, and then I held off on the last 2 seasons because they weren't readily available. They went from regular TV to specialty TV, and then it went off Netflix, and then it was available on Prime, and I was like, okay, I have to finish this. If I don't finish the show, I'm going to to be so mad at myself if it goes off Prime and I'm not going to be able to finish it. I was so excited about the show because it had two strong female protagonists who were leading their own life, working in an industry that they loved and making their decisions for themselves. And that was what drew me in, especially, and then also the performing arts. I always like watching anything that's about performing arts. And so I was invested in that, and there's lots of great challenging relationship stuff, really had my heart. I bought lots of the soundtracks, a lot of the music really, really touched me. But in the later seasons, my goodness, I felt like there was quite a distance from what drew me to the show in the first place. And I was very disappointed in the last two seasons and things that happened. And I just really, really didn't sit well with me. I do admit that I think any show that goes beyond sort of like 5 seasons, sometimes 4, it is a challenge to keep going and find new things to do. But I just really was not happy with where some of the choices that were made here. And it got very soap opera-y and very over the top and very like, would that character really do that? And but I am glad that I finished it. I do love the first 4 seasons, which is ironically where I stopped watching. I did end up hearing a spoiler, so that did influence, it did influence my emotional connection to the show because I knew something that was going to happen. But I'll say the finale did get me. It got me right in the feels where so many of the episodes up until that point, but not 5 and 6 season, everything else really got me. And the finale got me, and I cried. I'm going to admit it, I cried, and I'm glad that I saw it through. But it really was quite a departure from what drew me to the show in the first place. So it was disappointing in the end, but I did really enjoy those first 4 seasons. But with finishing both that and Borgen, I am lacking a show with a strong female protagonist. So if you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. I have a couple on my radar, but I always like to make sure that I'm watching shows that have female leads. So if you have any that you are enjoying or loving or you think I would enjoy, some of these are mystery series, but I don't tend to watch a lot of mysteries or procedurals, but I'm willing to give things a shot. I know there are a lot of those. They're just, the crime element can often be too disturbing for me. So performing arts, drama, comedy, dark comedy, anything fantasy, science fiction, of course. So let me know your thoughts if you have any suggestions for strong female leads. And let me know what you've been watching recently, if there's any shows on your radar upcoming, or if you finished anything recently. And all of the dates and renewals that I mentioned are, of course, subject to change, obviously due to COVID. But hopefully, we have been getting new shows and new seasons, so hopefully things are moving. And also with the vaccine, hopefully things are becoming, more open and stuff like that. But of course, always stay safe. I've been watching a lot of TV, obviously. And I gotta admit, finishing a 6-season series felt pretty good, even if it was pretty bumpy towards the end. So, but let me know, are you gonna check out any of these shows? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching.